I think I'm talking to a very illustrious audience here because you all are knowledge givers. And classroom knowledge, I think, is very, very difficult to convey. I'm an entrepreneur by accident. I've not really, I don't think I decided to become an entrepreneur, but I became one. So, I'm from Mumbai, and I've always lived here. I'm a South Indian married to a Bengali. The only passion that I ever had in my life, from the time I became 18 years old, I'm now 59, I just wanted to drive. I mean, I had no other passion. Even today, I love cars more than human beings. So I very categorically just think that they really behave themselves because they have no mood swings, they have no problems. You put petrol, water, tire, everything, and they're all good to go. So they really behave themselves. So very soon, I realized that when I got my license and I started driving, I soon realized that I was quite important in my house because everybody would look for me whenever there was anything happening in the house. And at 18, this is a very good feeling that no function can go on without you because the designated driver that was me was always asked to go pick up people from the airport, from the station, and it really excited me. So gradually, I became quite an expert in driving. And soon I realized that why just drive people around? I should do something else. So I became a rally driver, and I'm a professional rally driver. So I've done about 85 car rallies. I've won 80 of them, and it just is in my blood. I mean, it's only for the last 4 years that I have not been rallying. So it's a kind of a passion which really doesn't leave you because I know, like I said, I know cars better than I know anything else. I can repair cars, I can change flat tires, I kind of am a mechanic to a certain extent. No, no, no history. It's just my passion. So, and it just gives me immense pleasure to have that. You have a steering in your hand and you feel you have the power in your hand to go to do what you want because you can actually, the guy sitting, whoever is sitting with you, doesn't have any say. You can just drive them where you want. You can, so it's that immense power that gives a driver of any kind. And to really cut the story short, kind of, to put it in 15, 20 minutes, um, in 2006, I suddenly realized that, I'm a teetotaler, I don't drink and smoke. So I was the perfect candidate to drop all my drunken friends back home. I don't think I have a single friend who doesn't drink. So, they were forever drunk and I was forever dropping them back home. And when they are drunk and they are in my car, the least you expect is that they would tell me how to drive. So, because I really think I'm the best driver in the world. And imagine them telling me that, that you ऐसे नहीं drive करना, वो उधर pothole है, ये है, वो है, and that really troubled me. So it was on one such occasion that I was irritated and I got off from the car when somebody tried to tell me how to drive. And I said to them, I said, go drive back. Because the worst is that in a drunken state, when you're dropping back somebody, the worst state is when you call back the next morning to actually check up if the hangover is gone or not. And they actually turn around and have the audacity to ask you, Acha, you dropped us. And you feel, oh God, it's so ungrateful. The people are ungrateful, you count them back safely home. So it was on that occasion that I decided that enough is enough and I would not drop them back now. So I got back into the car and told them to just shut up. And I said, I will drop you back. And from today onwards, nobody's asking me anything. And I just said to myself, why am I doing this? People are ungrateful. So it was at that bingo moment of my life that I decided that I should drive as a commercial taxi driver. Because I said, at least paisa to milega. People will not, they won't remember, forget, but they'll at least pay me for it. And so I went back home and I simply said that I am going to become a cab driver and the cab service that I'm going to really start is going to be for women only and there'll be only women drivers. So this is what I decided in my mind. And I got around to starting to, figure out how should I do this because this was my first entrepreneurial venture. The least one would need is a vehicle. The least one would need is one driver. We are not in the Tesla days still, so we are still looking at drivers in actual cars. And so I was calling up Just Dial and trying to find out, how to get a logo made and how to start a business. So I went to this gentleman by the name of, I'm telling you this story simply because starting a venture most of the time does, it needs money. I'm not saying it doesn't need money, but it also needs something called an idea. It also needs something called immense passion. It also needs something called immense perseverance. And of course, it needs money to take it forward. But if somebody was to actually tell me that पैसा है और मैं शुरू कर रहा हूँ कुछ, so it's a cock and bull story. It doesn't happen only with money. There has to be something. You are either solving a pain point, you're either doing it for fun, you're either doing it as a family business. So for me it was a lot of things combined together. I was at that point of time, while it may sound a lot of fun in what I'm doing, but at that point of time I was going through a very horrible phase of my life. Personally, my life was in shatters. And so I called this Just Dial and they gave me the number of an ad agency called Ubiquitous Advertising. um, I said I want something close to my house because I didn't have money to go by cab. So I said wanted to walk to the agency. And that number that I got, I called that gentleman and I asked that gentleman, I said, I want to come and meet you because I have a great idea. So on the phone only, he made a little fun of me because he said, everybody who comes to me tells me they have great ideas, which is also true because they are an ad agency. So when I went there, and he said, come. So there's a perception that if a person gives you an appointment very soon, he's either without work or he's good for nothing. So I already had formed an opinion in my mind that this Jayesh Chandan is Vela. He has no work and he's a team of 1 plus 2 people. So usko koi kaam nahi hai. So he called me. He must have said, "Chalo, baat kar lete hain." When I went there, I got the shock of my life because he was a team of 250 people. And it's not that he had no work, he was so busy, but he actually decided to meet me. So, my first thought, as an entrepreneur, my thought process rather, I said, ye to galat hai. It's not true that people who are busy don't give you an appointment. He gave me an appointment, and I went there and I said, I have this great idea and I want to start a cab service for women by women. He said, very good, great idea. And chalo, so what do you want from me? And I said, I want some credit from you. I want you to make all my designs. I want you to make everything. And now you have to give me credit. So he said, but why will I give you credit? I said, I don't know because I just think that I'm going to make it in life. And I need some help at the moment. He said, okay, we'll talk about it tomorrow. I came back home. I have 3 boys. And I told my children that I said, I met this guy and he said that he'll talk to me tomorrow. And I shared my idea with him. Second problem. One always thinks that if you share your idea, the guy who's doing, who's listening to the idea is waiting to copy you. Completely untrue. Because your idea is your idea. And whatever the other person may copy and do will be their idea. The way of execution is what they will do. So, and it is, believe me, trust me, it is not easy to copy anybody's idea. It's really not easy. Just because I went and told him that women's taxi service I want to start, what were my kids thinking? He'll start it. So I kept telling them, but I had to agree with them that day because I really had no proof of concept to tell them that he would not do it. So I said, yeah, maybe I made a mistake. And they said, they just told me, Mom, you've lost it. Nobody goes and shares ideas like that. But I sincerely believe that if you share ideas, you may get some good ideas back. You may get some feedback. And it may be great feedback to have. So it was decided that I would meet him the next day. So I went and met him the next day. And he said, Chalo, I'll help you. I'll do it. So he said, how much credit do you need? How much money ka credit do you need? I said, most entrepreneurs, and I can kind of top the list, are very foolish. Very dreamy, very foolish, no idea of what they want to do. But ideation mein bade zabardast. Ideas are brilliant, but how you're going to execute it is a task, is a skill which you really learn over a period of time. Nobody is born with it. Nobody is born with anything. You have to hone your skills. And entrepreneurship is a skill which gets honed every single day. So there is no textbook which teaches you entrepreneurship. But the more you do it, the better you become. The more mistakes you make, you start making newer mistakes the next time. Maybe you may not make the same mistakes again. So Jayesh Chandan decided to ask me how much money credit do you need. So I told him 5 lakhs, and I had no clue what I was going to do with that 5 lakhs. He was not giving me money, but whatever work he was going to do, I didn't have to pay him immediately. So he said, "Okay, chalo, let's do it." And I told him to think of a name, and he was the one who actually started thinking of a name also for my company. So the first brand of mine, which actually we started in 2007, it's 12 years now, was something called Forche, Forsche. It was a play on Porsche, Porsche, and we pronounced it as for she, which was for her. And all the photographic images of what I was going to do in life with that company were all in my head. So for me, the biggest success is when I can actually photographically imagine things. For everybody, it's different. Some people need to see a Excel sheet. Some people need to see actual P&L. Some people need to see other things. For me, it is actually imagining a photographic vision of what I'm going to do. And I could see it. I could see 20 cabs. I could see 20 girls. I could see those girls in lovely, pink and purple tunics and lipstick and a lot of things which anybody would imagine. And I could actually imagine that. So I said, this is it. If I can imagine something, I'm going to do it. And that was my biggest storytelling success when I went to anybody to tell them that I'm going to start this company. So there we were, Forche, lovely logo, lovely everything. Everything was fantastic. And so Jayesh Chandan decided that, chalo, let's place an ad. He said, chalo, kuch karte hain. So I told him, place an ad which is like the biggest, and somebody opens up newspaper and they have to see it. So he said full page. I also said full page. No idea how much it's going to cost. So he calls me one day and he said it's costing 1.5 lakhs. So out of 5 lakhs, 1.5 lakhs will go into ad. So I asked him, foolish as we were, I asked him, kitne din ke liye chalega ye ad? So he said, kitne din ke liye nahi. It's one day, one page, and people are going to look at it for 2-3 seconds only. So don't think that they're going to look at the page and say, wow, you're going to start this, and they're going to have a discussion with you. Aisa kuch hone wala nahi hai. It's just there. But we decided we must go ahead with it. So we released an ad in an English tabloid. And look at the words we used in that. We had a fabulous ad, which he only made. Everything dramatic in life. I mean, we have nothing simple in life. We all do dramatic. I do all dramatic things. So what was the headline of the ad? Creating a revolution on the roads. What is revolution? I mean, do we even have an idea of what is revolution? Big revolution we are talking about. Creating a revolution on the roads. Launching Asia's first women's taxi service on 8th of March 2007. Women drivers required. Kindly contact so-and-so. Ad was made, published. 4 numbers down, all prepaid numbers, borrowed 2 and 2 were from the house. When the ad came out, 25th of January, the first ad came out. And what do we realize? 2 numbers were wrong because we had not bothered to do any proofreading. We were so excited that we have just simply released the ad. And so God knows how many people got those calls on those numbers, but 2 numbers were wrong. 2 numbers were correct. One was my son's and one was mine. And the calls started coming. So I think a lot of women thought that it was a teaser ad. They thought that, sometimes you have these events. So they thought, ek din ke liye event hai, they want a woman driver and they're going to pay us like 1,000 rupees per day and all. So nobody really took us seriously when we said a women's cab service. And 182 applications came. We were all excited. So many people are interested. Neither did we know, nor did they know what was a cab service. I did not even know that if you have to start a taxi service, you need a different kind of a license for it. No knowledge, zero knowledge. But we have to do it. And so a lot of ads came, a lot of calls came. We started noting down the numbers and all that. Unfortunately, next morning, the 26th of January, my husband became very critically ill. and we lost him on the 29th of, this was on the 26th of January, and 29th of January I lost my husband. I belong to a very, very, very conservative Bengali family from Tripura. I mean, having married into a Bengali family. In that family, people change to white clothes. Why I'm telling you this is that when you are talking to a lot more to be entrepreneurs wherever you go back, there are so many barriers which come. There are so many problems which come, but I think it's all within us whether we want to do it or we don't want to do it. Whether it is out of compulsion, whether it is out of wanting to do it, it's really all in us. Every entrepreneur comes with an immense, immense amount of grit and determination. So we were completely locked up in our house. I was completely locked up in my house and listening to some old bhajans and locked the door, dark, and I was not even talking to anybody. I decided not to meet anybody, no obituaries, and I told everybody no condolences. A friend of mine came and decided that he should shake me up because he said that, I think you've lost it and you must come and get back to life. So he presented me a book on Swami Vivekananda. And it is a autobiography of Swami Vivekananda. It's a must read for everybody who wants to become anything in life. It's not just about entrepreneurship. I think there are so many lessons of entrepreneurship in that book. And he said, you must read because otherwise I don't think you'll come out of it. So I started reading. I was on page 26 of that book. And on that page, there is a graphic representation of Swami Vivekananda sitting under a tree. And there's a young blind boy sitting in front of him. That young blind boy asks Swamiji, he says, Swamiji, is there anything worse than losing your eyesight? And Swamiji turns around to him and says, yes, my son, losing your vision is worse than losing your eyesight. I actually shut the book. It struck me that, my late husband was my eyesight. But I had a bigger vision of wanting to do something in my life. So I said, no, I have a great vision of wanting to do something. And I said, I must go ahead and do this. So I shut the book and we live in a joint family. So I called my mother-in-law and I told her, I said, I have to step out. If today I don't step out, I probably will never step out again. And that lady has never had any education, going to school education, college education. She's actually, in our language, we'd probably say she's illiterate. But look at the amount of wisdom she had. She actually held my hand and she said, you must go. And she said, there's only one condition. And the only condition that she put on me was, she said that I will not allow you to step out in white clothes. You have to get back to the way you were. And the only reason she gave me that was, she said, I do not want my grandchildren to get up every day in the morning, look at you, and remember that they don't have a father. I don't think textbooks, classroom, anything can give you that kind of wisdom. And I really stepped out of the house that day. I have never looked back. So I seriously felt, and I swore to myself that day, that the emotional sacrifice that she has made for me to step out of the house, I'm not going to let it, just go waste. And I decided that I would take this company or anything that I do on a global level, and this is what we have been able to achieve now. And at every point of time, I do feel that there's somebody at the back who allowed me to do this. So all of, a lot of people, a lot of youngsters, everybody feels that main akela kar lunga, they really have this feeling. Doesn't happen. It's not on. You really need a lot of support. And I think there's nothing bigger than family support that happens. And I have been very fortunate to get that. So the sad story of my life had to end there, and I stepped out. And Jayesh was very, very worried because he didn't know whether I would ever step out and do something, and he had invested in me and he didn't know what was happening. So when I went there to his office that very day, fourth day of the house, after my husband's death, I went to his office. He was the first one to get actually shocked. And he said, you have come, now what? What had happened was that after that ad had come, there were a lot of satellite companies, all the satellite channels and all had started calling him and asking him, when is it starting? Because nobody had ever seen something. This was the first time on an international platform that somebody was starting something exclusively for women. And for me, it became even more important, even more decisive. And this was the most defining moment of my life. I just decided that somebody just empowered me. At a moment when I was at the lowest of my lows, I decided to make this my mission and my vision in life, that I was simply going to empower women with a skill and they would become financially enabled and stand on their own feet. And that was going to be the mission of my life. And I've done just that for 11 years now, 12 years. All I have done is I've done nothing new. There have been cab drivers for ancient history. There have been drivers for time unlimited. But what we have done is we have created a pool of women drivers, and we have given them an opportunity of coming out and acquiring a skill by which they would be able to stand on their own feet and be able to make a living of their own. And gradually, we as a company and me as an individual would be able to contribute to the percentages which are very dismal of women's workforce participation, because we were at a dismal figure, and even now we're not at a great figure, and in return contribute to the GDP of the country, which is the ultimate goal which anybody has as an entrepreneur. You want to create jobs, you want to create revenues, you want to create a great company, and this is what you want to do. Slowly we realized, so I became Asia's first woman commercial driver. I started driving a cab. That was the best thing to do to earn a living. And I had two other girls who joined me. There was one girl, the three girls who joined me at the time we launched the service on 8th of March. We managed to launch it on the 8th of March. There was this girl from Hitachi. She was a marketing manager at Hitachi, and one fine day she came and stood in front of me and she said, I have left my job. It was so scary because I suddenly realized that now I have to pay her, because she's actually left her job and she wants to become a cab driver. There was another girl who's an artist, commercial artist from JJ School of Art. And she comes and tells me, she said, I hate what I do. I don't know why I did that. I want to just drive. So we were three of us who actually started driving. And we became cab drivers. Soon we realized that we had three cabs. I had no cabs. I had to go to somebody and tell them. So we had a tagline. I had a tagline which said, I will pay you soon. Because we had no money, no? So we had to go to people and say, humko office chahiye. When will you pay me soon? Taxis. I had a friend who had a transport service. He gave me 3 rotten second-hand Indicas. Every time I started that car, the whole building would know that I've started the car, because the amount of noise it used to make. But we had no choice. So he gave us 3 cars, and then we'd go back to Jayesh and tell him that Jayesh, is pe sticker lagana hai. The poor guy, every time I walked into Jayesh's office, I realized, that people were talking. There was a buzz. And when people are talking about you, that somebody is talking about you, because you have that sense of somebody is talking about you. So I asked Jayesh, I said, whenever I walk in, I hear people talking, I think they're talking about me. So he said, yes, of course they're talking about you. And I said, what are they talking? He said, we have a name for you. And the name is FOC, free of cost. So they had all presumed that I was the FOC client, and I was never going to pay them in my life. So I was the FOC client. So every time I walked in, there was hangama, aa gayi, like that they used to talk. But I said, anyway, I think someday we'll pay him. So he had decided that, so every time he had to make those stickers and put it on the car. We had a landline connection. Our office POP fell down. Everything happened. And the 3 girls who were working with me, they said, ma'am, ho kya raha hai? Sab kuch gir raha hai. Pata nahi kya karenge hum log. And I told them, we are history in the making. When history is to be created, these things have to happen. The most, utmost foolish things have to happen. Non-monsoon, March ke mahine mein, which POP can fall? But our office POP fell. So we soon realized that we were history in the making. And so 8th of March, when I landed up at that so-called little office that we had, I saw some 35, 40 journalists and some 8 to 10 OB vans. They were standing there. And I said, ye kya hai? Jayesh said, they've all come to cover you because you're very important in their life today. And we were not from the media. I'd never even been photographed other than my own wedding. So here these people were going to stand and take my pictures. We were so excited. So he said, keep smiling. I took it so seriously that I must have smiled for 3 to 4 hours. And at the end of the day, my cheeks were paining. But I was told to smile. So I was smiling. Next day, if you check Google, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th March 2007, across the world, any language we have been covered. So we were basking in that glory. Wow, we are so important in life. 8-10 दिन ऐसे ही हम लोग गाड़ी चला रहे थे, three women and cars. A great well-wisher of mine called me one day and she said, तेरी ना गाड़ी दिखी, पैसेंजर नहीं है. And I soon realized that, oh God, we don't have a passenger. We've just been, and इतने calls आ रहे थे. People were telling us, wow, great service, safety of women, what great thing you're doing, creating employment for women, this, that. And we were saying, wow, really, we're doing great things. Suddenly we realized we have no customers, we are actually doing no business. Not a single call had come for taking the cab. Not a single call. And that I realized when that friend called me. So now the devious entrepreneur mind had to work. So I went back home. I have 3 women in the house. I had 1 mother-in-law and 2 sisters-in-law. So I went and told them from tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, you have to deck up every day, doll up every day, 9 o'clock, niche aa jao. So we created our first set of fake customers. I had 3 fake customers, 1 mother-in-law and 2 sisters-in-law. And they were told to sit in the cars, in the cabs. And we were so smart that we also told them that रोज एक ही गाड़ी में नहीं बैठना है. We will change the drivers and you have to change the cars also. So soon we had, you won't believe it, my in-laws have lived in Mumbai for about over 5 decades. They had forgotten some relatives. We reminded them that, ये उधर है, चलो उधर लेके चलते. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल पे करना है, चलो वील टेक यू. धनिया पत्ता लाना है, वी विल टेक यू. वो रिलेटिव कितने दिन से मिले नहीं है, दे आर थिंकिंग अबाउट यू. सो वी से चलो उधर भी चलते हैं. सो वी शोड देम मुंबई लाइक दे हैव नॉट सीन बिफोर. Within 4-5 days, my mother-in-law was fed up. She told me, she came and asked me, she said, when will you get your real customer? So we said, नहीं बहुत जल्द मिलेगा real customer. And rightly so, the phone rang one fine day. And Anahita Mistry, who was one of our first drivers, she picked up the phone. She had this very sexy voice and she picked up the phone and she smiled. And we said, a real customer hai. And that lady on the other side, she was a lady called Madhuri Kamath. She said, is it Forshi? I want to go from so-and-so place to so-and-so place. And Anahita Mistry was standing there and she was doing, this. Now the problem was that we all wanted to take a real customer. So quickly we dumped these 3 people in the office and we said, we don't need you anymore. And we got into, because all of us wanted to take the real customer. So all 3 cabs landed up at that lady's house. She was aghast. Because and we were hoping, I said, usko Rang Sharda jana hai, so she must be going for a wedding. So she may not go alone. She may come with 3 women. So we'll take 3 women in 3 different cabs. And all this planning was done. And this woman, so I saw them coming down in Kanjivaram saris. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them came down. And we were so happy. We made them sit in 3 different cabs. And we took them like an entourage. And she first got down and she said, but I asked for 1. And we said, no, you pay for only 1, but we all have to go that side. We said, we're all going that side. What a lie it was. But they made them sit and we took them. So our first ride came and then we took that first money. We kept it so safely. When we decided to buy our first car, we used that 200 rupees to buy that first car and we just moved from there. Sometimes the doors just open, so I'm going to cut it short. We had ILNFS invested with me. I resold my company back to ILNFS and really made them pay through their nose. And all our bad days with no money and all went away. And I started another company, my second brand called Veera Cabs. Very soon, we were way before the Ola and Uber days. We were pre-Ola, pre-Uber. So soon, about in 2016, I realized that it's impossible to do a price war with Uber, Ola. They are bleeding and we don't want to bleed. We really want to make money. I don't understand businesses which don't make money. So I want to make money, and we are a social enterprise. We are an enterprise which impacts people socially because we are creating jobs for women, and we are getting them out of the below poverty line. So I really wanted to do something dynamic. So we decided to move on to the logistics movement. Instead of passenger movement, I have now moved on to logistics movement, which is, I read a World Bank report in 2016 which said that the logistics industry is going to become a $220 billion industry by 2020, and we decided to become a part of that and take 10% of that. So we said 10% of 220 billion is not really bad, so we should work towards it. And so we started our first all-women logistics service on 2-wheelers and 4-wheelers, because a lot of last-mile deliveries are done on 2-wheelers, where you see all this Amazon, Flipkart, people are getting lazier and so everybody is ordering on the phone. Brick and mortar shopping is almost over. So we've created. I have about 3,000 girls now under training, about 1,000 girls on the road. We are spread across 10 cities, including places like Jharkhand. We are in Orissa, we are in Lucknow, we are in Madhya Pradesh, we are in Jharkhand is one of my biggest success stories. I learnt at the NCW conference that the 60% of the women who get into unwanted prostitution come from Jharkhand simply because they do not have a job option. So the government of Jharkhand invited me and said, why don't you come across and provide this job as an option for them where we can stop prostitution? And we've done just that. So I've got 100 girls now training with us. We've just got about 5 girls working with us, but I think this to me is the biggest transformation that we can bring about in this area, where we can actually bring women out of where they are and we can make an impact, whether it's socially, whether it's whatever. So a lot of people, when we talk about social impact, when we talk of women, I am invariably asked this question, are you an NGO? Because somehow working for women or doing something good for women and saying the word social impact somehow takes you to becoming an NGO, which I very clearly want to tell everybody, and I shout at the top of my voice and say it, that we are not an NGO. We make money. I make money. I make money for all my girls. Every single girl of mine earns more than north of 15,000 on two-wheelers and north of 23,000, 24,000 on four-wheelers. They are all from below poverty line families, each one of them. So we at Hey Didi can proudly say that we've got at least about 1,000 plus families out of the below poverty line, and that to us is the biggest success story that we can ever tell. And recently, due to the work that we have been doing, so there's a lot of problems, illiterate women, for example. If you see your Amazon, Flipkart parcel, you'll see the address in English. They're not educated, a lot of them are not, they can't read the addresses. So what do we do? So till recently, I was eliminating that group of women who could not join us simply because they couldn't read. So I found a software, and that's why we use a lot of technology, use huge amount of technology in our company. So we just found a software which you scan the barcode and it is translating text to voice in a language of your choice. So I have Hindi, Marathi and Tamil because I have a lot of Tamil girls working for me for some reason. And today, so I have mitigated that problem that she has no education. So she's simply coming to me and saying, I want to work. And here we are being able to provide an income which is going to be north of 15, 20,000 rupees. And with that, she's actually she will be able to transform her own life and the life of her family. And looking at what we have done, an international monetary body, I can't give the name as yet because the money has not come into my account. And if they hear it that I've been advertising it already, then they might not send it to me. So an international monetary body has decided to give our company, which is also a for-profit company like ours, a grant of $7 million to do training and to engage a lakh of women. So we're just about to get it. I just went to DC and I signed those papers and I have come. So I think this again is the biggest validation that we can get. So entrepreneurship has never been easy, but there's nothing as exciting as entrepreneurship. Every day is something new that you can learn. And I was asking Aparna about all of you who are here. You're from different states, different things that, every state comes with its own culture. There is no textbook. Something that works in Maharashtra may not work in a place like Orissa. Something like works in Orissa may not work in Mizoram. So I really want to share this, that if there's any way that I can contribute to making entrepreneurs in your cities, in your states, I would be delighted, Aparna. I mean, I'm part of NCW to go there and do it, but I would really love to do something I do for women. So, choose women entrepreneurs, because I really want to create a lot of women to do this and come out of their homes and start earning and making a difference, because it is a community, it is a gender which has a lot of difficulty coming out of the house. Whether it is a Michelle Obama, whether it is a Neeta Ambani, or whether it is my maidservant who comes out of the house, she is the one who has to think of what will the children eat once they come back from school. So we have to make things a little more easy for her and make things compatible, make things doable. So my mission, my vision, my everything is to really create women entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for having me here.